And the more you get reps, the more you actually do coach, whether they sign up with you or not, the more you learn about what you like, what you don't like, who you work with well, who you don't work with well, who needs you, who doesn't need you, what the market is asking for, what it's not asking for. There's so many pieces of this puzzle. It's like hard to answer just one thing, right? There's like a lot of
No,
pieces of the puzzle.
I think you are answering the couple of important pieces. The one is most. There are two types of coaches that, like, if I were to overly generalize, one is somebody will come to me and they're actually, and I'm meeting somebody like that this week, who they're actually fairly successful generally on their own, and they didn't figure it out through some niche building process, website, or anything. They actually took what they knew and went out there and started talking to a bunch of people. Now, why did this person reach out to me? Is like they've been doing it for a while. They don't know because they're just throwing stuff at the wall and making it happen. So it's taking a lot more energy, time, and everything. And they're learning as they're going, and they have some gaps in knowledge. So it's not, they're making money. And this is the key. They're making money doing that. And a lot of times they're self-critical too. It's like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And then there's the other type of coach, which I was that kind of coach in the beginning, was that, oh, and what you described, let me build my website, let me build this, let me build my logo, let me talk to this person about my business plan. But I wasn't doing the thing. And the thing was to actually the reps. And a big reason why I wasn't doing that, because it was actually very, very uncomfortable to get in front of somebody and struggle to support them. Because when you
Yeah,
get
that's
down to
hard.
it, actually supporting somebody is actually fairly hard. It's in theory, it sounds easy. It's like, well, I'm just gonna get a call. I have a framework, I can help them, or I don't have a framework, I have some experience in training. But when you get in front of another person who's struggling with real problems and you try to navigate that, even in that first session, you will realize that you're actually struggling more than them, and you're trying to figure, and we see that clearly in our community when we're doing, even with more experienced coaches, when we're doing our coaching clinic, and you can see it on their face, they're trying to find ways to ask a better question to challenge them to. And these are more experienced coaches in many times, and the ones who are not, they're all of a sudden they get struggle, and then post that session when we're going towards feedback, they share their thoughts. It's like, I didn't know which direction to go to. That's the reality of actually serving people, is that you won't know. Actually, in the first 10, 20, 30 sessions, you're going to struggle. Now, if you talk to a coach who hasn't done that, they've only done one, they will talk about themselves a little bit differently. They'll be like, yeah, I think I can really help people. I think my coaching is valued at 6,000, 10,000. How do you know that? And then to make matters worse, they're told by the certification or the marketing or the language, or it's like, well, your coaching is worth that much. You don't know that. They would have to be in that experience to actually prove that, because it's not up to them to decide. It's about for the client to decide. So the reason why we don't do it is because it's incredibly uncomfortable. And then this is why they say it takes more courage to build a business or to serve people than it takes intelligence a lot of times. Because you have to do the reps and be open to looking at it. Well, I struggled here. What can I learn here? What kind of feedback do I need? And a lot of the coaches who come to me, they're like, when you dig in, you're like, I'm struggling here, I don't know how to help this person, or I don't know how to reach out. And if I do reach out, to how do I talk to them? What kind of questions do I ask them? Or how do I make this offer? I'm struggling in each of the steps of the process. But then if somebody hasn't done it, it's like, oh, I'm doing fairly well, the only thing that's missing is nobody's coming to me to be coached. Like, I don't think that's real. And I know, because I kept saying that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could, I like the idea of what you said before, which is about being data driven. The data can, like, if you're honest about the data will tell you exactly where the problem in your pipeline is. And the problem in your pipeline, once you solve that, there's another problem. There's always a constraint in your business. And usually in a coaching business, especially at the beginning, actually almost always, even forever, as my theory, it's you. You're the constraint, but some part of what you're doing or not doing, or what you're feeling or not feeling, or where you're engaging or not engaging, that's where the constraint usually lies. So if you tell me like, nobody's coming to book calls with me, and like, well, are you inviting people to book calls? No. Well, okay, well then that's the constraint. Just invite them. Well, I don't have anybody. Like, okay, if you're not inviting people to book calls, is that because nobody's coming to your calls? No, people are coming to my calls, but I don't make the offer. Okay, so there's constraint. If you work it backwards all the way from getting the client, there's a part of your puzzle that is missing, and usually there's an emotional resistance or a lack of safety that you have or familiarity with taking that step and really mastering it. And I've still got work to do in this process, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at the making of the offers, but I'm not always the best at doing really great on the re-inviting, like re-inviting some people to
Yeah.
the like I'll re-invite somebody, but I have three people that I'm supposed to be reaching out to who are interested that I haven't actually done that with. I'm just thinking through it
Okay.
this morning. I was thinking like who's on my list that I lost touch with, right? Like there's a piece of my puzzle that's also I'm working on. So like wherever the puzzle is for you, there's a whole continuum, there's a whole mountain you're climbing as a coach, and everybody's at a different spot on that mountain, and that's okay. The question
Yeah.
is what's your spot and what's the constraint for you? And whatever that constraint is, it's almost guaranteed that there's an emotional driver for that constraint, or sometimes it's a logistical or knowledge barrier. But like most of the time, it's emotional when it comes to coaching for some reason, because maybe it's because we put ourselves on the line, right? It's really
Yeah.
hard to
And
believe that we can support someone, as you said, and so putting yourself in that position where you might not be able to provide value feels scary, but that's okay.
yeah, and again, it's easy to say that's okay, but we're all, I mean, one part, like for example, one piece of the puzzle is we've all been, all of us, I think almost all of us, with a few exceptions, is that we have gotten feedback or we've done something where the process was uncomfortable and we've gotten negative feedback. And in most cases, we've gone that multiple times, not just in our homes and our education system. So we're not trained to be encouraged to go towards uncomfortable things unless you grew up in an environment where somebody was aware, where effort was rewarded a lot more than the outcome. We're given, for example, in our testing system, what happens? You're celebrated for getting better marks, but that's not the reality of the world. Yeah, that's much later, but you're not celebrated as much for the efforts. The efforts need to be celebrated over and over. In fact, Rich Lidman, one of the things it was interesting. It was one moment he was coaching somebody. She had a win and he was hesitating to, the win was that she got a few clients. He was hesitating to celebrate. And this is what he said. And I still remember that one was a little bit funny.